Okay. Gotta wait for the Instagram to connect. There we go. Now I can click go live. We are live everywhere. Go ahead and hit that countdown.
Oh, yeah, that's my bad.
Hello?
I just hit the music since you did.
No, thank you. That was good because somehow YouTube started playing the video and I could no longer hear anything that was happening on StreamYard. Live streaming.
Yeah. What is up, all you big sexy digital nomads? Listen, point of clarity here. We promise just the raw podcast perfection by episode 80, not the live stream perfection. So I was sitting here waiting for Big Sexy to click the intro music that you're hearing now. He was waiting for me to click that 30-second countdown. It's all FUBAR, but here we are now, and I got a news alert from the grocery store. The juice has expired. Here's your host, Big Sexy.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whenever this is hitting your ear holes, I hope that it is good. Yeah, we got a lot of new things happening this episode. I got new lapel mic that I'm trying out for the first time. I'm hoping that's working. We're on Instagram and we got a couple viewers there, and I'm trying to navigate that set of two windows and see if I can, figure that out. I think I got it pretty much covered. We got news, we got headlines, we got updates. Things are moving. Things are happening. How's it going over there, Judgmentalist? What's happening over there in Elkton?
It's well, it was really nice earlier today. Then I heard what sounded like rain not too long ago, and now that rain seems to be gone. So welcome to Maryland. Take your meds, weather. And yeah, so a lot of exciting stuff going on. I'll use this platform to officially announce something that has been mentioned in a few places, but I haven't made any sort of formal announcement yet. But I have been booked to perform 5 of my hypnosis shows in Rochester, New York at the Rochester, New York Fringe Festival. That will be this September. The festival itself takes place over a longer stretch of time. I think it's almost 3 weeks. And I will be doing 5 shows, one of them on September 11th, 2 of them on Saturday the 14th, and 2 of them on Sunday the 15th. Way early, way early. So no tickets are available right now. The moment that they are, I'll have those updated on judgmentalist.com. They'll probably also be updated on betweentwominds.com. The cool news, so I've known that for a little over a week now. The really cool news that's newer to this, which is exciting for me, is that my stage partner Bernardo is also going to be doing 5 shows. He doesn't have his dates yet, but he's working on with the venue to make them kind of line up, but at the same time not compete with mine, because he's going to be at a different venue. But that's going to allow us to travel together, market the shows together, lodge together, all that other stuff.
Do all the things together.
Do all of the things, even though we have to split the show, because most of the Fringe Festival applications that we have done have a pretty hard cap on the shows being no more than 60 minutes long.
Oh,
So
gotcha.
you
guys run a 90-minute show.
it's a 90-minute show, and we really, I mean, if somebody said you got to cut this down, 75 is probably the shortest that we could do, and we're not doing much of an intermission. So we've done this for a couple of different fringe festivals where we've applied and split the shows. So he's calling his show Enter the Impossible, which is actually like the subtitle for the Between Two Minds show. I enter my show as the Court of the Mind, which is part of my intro. So it works, and it's really great when obviously we could work together on some of the smaller fringes, or if there were ever an opportunity where we got booked at the same venue. And we anticipate this potentially happening for Baltimore's Fringe Festival this year. Our hope is to be able to coordinate with that venue and say, hey, can you slot our shows back to back?
Right.
That way, effectively, we're doing the Between Two Minds show with just a longer intermission, and you've got to buy a ticket to both halves. If that happens, again, I anticipate that happening for Charm City Fringe Festival. We did the one show, if everybody remembers, we did one show during their Fringe After Dark last year, because by the time we put our show together and knew that it was something that we wanted to put out there, we knew that it eventually would be something that we'd want to put out there. We just didn't think that it was going to go so well right away. We thought,
baby,
but we did. And we knew that we were capable of putting together a marketable, tourable product. But the first show that we did, we thought, hey, we're going to run this first show, and then we're going to take it apart, and we're going to put it back together again, because nothing goes perfectly the first time. I mean, sometimes podcasts take as many as like 80 episodes to get close to perfect.
And still don't quite get there.
Yeah.
But really get close. I get it. Yeah.
So, you know, we knew that we were going to put something solid together because both of us have performing experience and we knew what we were doing and everything like that. But we didn't think that we'd be as close to a marketable product after that, you know, in that first show. I mean, so much so to the point where we owned the betweentwominds.com web domain, but had not yet set up a website because we didn't think we needed one right away, because we didn't think that we were going to have a, hey, let's put this out there product after the first show. We thought, hey, we're going to do like 4 or 5 of these shows. We're going to tweak a whole bunch of stuff every time. And that's not to say that we don't tweak things after every show, because we absolutely do. We have refined and are working on it after every single show. Hey, we got to tweak this or tweak that, or it'd be better if you did this, or, oh, I have an idea for you. That stuff happens after every single show, and it probably will for the next 100 shows. And I think that we'd be doing a disservice to ourselves and our audience if we weren't tweaking it every time.
You got to make it better, baby.
But the course corrections that we're making are not as significant as we thought they'd be coming out of the gate. So by the time we put all that together, Charm City Fringe had already set their lineup, because we're right now in the time frame. This is April. We didn't do our first show until end of July of last year. So everything was all buttoned up before we even had a show. So after that, I was just kind of tooling around, and I had talked to another magician friend of mine who does a lot of fringe festivals, because what they are is a great way to do a chunk of shows back to back to back to back to back. So I'm going to do 5 shows over 5 days in Rochester. Now, they're not 5 consecutive days, but the ability to say, ooh, I wish I would have done it this way, and then go right back out there either later that day or 2 days later or whatever it is, and tweak that thing. That's really how stuff starts to get really solid and locked in.
Really solid, yeah.
So,
you got a videographer. You're gonna put all that on a camera. You're gonna sell it.
Oh, we video every single show that we do, and unless something goes wonky with the camera, which it has in one of the shows, you can always go buy the hypnosis portion of the show. If you go to either of those two websites, either judgmentalist.com or betweentwominds.com, there's going to be a link up in the navigation bar that says hypnosis videos. That you click there, it's going to take you to where you can buy all the videos. One of the cool things, and as a lot of people probably know, that Between Two Minds show, we try to market that to nonprofits and school groups to do fundraiser shows.
Right.
So not only do we have what arrangement that we have with those nonprofit groups, and I'm not going to get into the details, but basically it's a door split for which they get more of the money than we do, and we're happy about it. Assuming, of course, that they sell a bunch of tickets, because it's a fee split that's 50-50 generally, but we cap our fee. So generally, that venue, that organization has the ability to make far more money. You know, if they sell out the room, they're usually making 80% of the money. So, because our fee is not super high for nonprofits, and we factor our travel costs into that cap. So, you know, the cap on us doing a show where we're just driving down the street and staying in our own beds that night is going to be lower than if we're traveling. You know, like when we traveled to Atlanta, we had flight cost, we had, you know, hotel costs, things like that. So the cap on that show was a little higher. But an organization that sells out the entire show, they're going to make more money than just half. So the other cool thing about it is that if you see one of those shows and there's a cause associated with it, a portion of that money is going to go to that cause. So if you buy that video, the videos are usually $20 unless the video quality is bad, which was really only some of the earlier ones.
Then you make it for 19.
What's that?
Then you sell it for 19.
No, $10. Well, there's one on there that's $10. But the video was kind of grainy. We upgraded the camera pretty much after the second show that we did, because once we knew that we had something and it was really solid and people loved the show, we're like, okay, we got to step it up. Not just the show, but the promo video that we're doing, and you know, the ability. This was before we were ever selling the videos. So basically, most of them are $20. Patreon takes about 5 of that. So $5 every time one of those videos gets sold, if it's associated with a nonprofit, goes back to that nonprofit. So basically every quarter I open it up and say, hey, what sold this quarter? Who do I owe money to? I cut them a check and send it out. And we'll do that forever. You know, as long as those organizations continue to exist. And to give you an idea, we're doing one right now that, like, in 2 weeks for the Northeast High School Marching Band. I doubt they're going to stop having a marching band at any point in time. We've done one for the Boys and Girls Club. That's not going anywhere. You know, the only one that we have coming up that probably won't have the ability for us to give money into perpetuity forever is we're doing a cause show for somebody who has stage 4 cervical cancer in June.
Yeah, that's going to end at some point in time.
So that'll, I mean, yeah, everybody ends at some point in time. But that's not to say that we don't then say, hey, we're going to start giving into perpetuity money from the sale of this show to cervical cancer research. You know, there will be a cause.
You can pivot.
Yeah. There will be an appropriate cause that we can give that money to. So if you see something on there, understand that if you're like, hey, I want to buy one of these, I want to see one of these shows, but I don't care which, find one that supports a cause that you care about and buy that one, you know.
And where do they go to do that?
If you either well, actually, you can just go to buyhypnosisshows.com and that'll take you right there.
There you go.
So
buyhypnosisshows.com.
And there's 2 S's in there.
Buy Hypnosis Show. Because hypnosis ends with the letter S and show begins with the letter S.
Yep.
So there's 2 S's there.
Back to back, yeah.
Just spell it the way you're supposed to. Nothing fancy. Cool. Yeah. Now, I'll tell you what. I'm really happy. I'm really stoked about this mic over here. But I'm looking on the camera, and on the camera is on this side of the camera, so I pointed to this part of my chest. But then I saw on the camera that I was pointing to the wrong part of my chest,
Yeah.
and so I had to move it over.
I'm laughing about this because I my law practice, I do a weekly because of this software for 3 weeks now, for 2 weeks, almost 3 weeks. I've started doing a live stream podcast, and they're only about 20 minutes long, and they're set up similar to this. If you go to Bowers Law, Maryland, either on Facebook or on YouTube, that's the only places that's going to stream, because I have not gotten into any of the other social media for the law practice because there's really no reason to. You will see me constantly pointing, hey, look at the Cruise Habit logo. Oh, no, wait, it's here. Obviously I'm not using the Cruise Habit logo on that podcast, but you get the idea. Like, oh yeah, remember that time in which we had Vince Wilson and Adam Stone at Elkton Magic? No, it's here. That's what I'm doing like half the time in that podcast, and I've now shined a light on it by the end of the second episode, and I was like, I'm never going to get this right, guys. This is just going to be a bit. So
it's just going to be
get ready for it.
I'm going to go. Oh, it's over. Oh, it's over here.
The only one that I know that I can do is the Emin Nomad is right there.
Right. Just because like the eye is
right, just right in the middle of my body. There is no left and right. So, Yep, exactly.
Yeah, so I'm excited. Yesterday I had to film myself teaching line dance course because I'm supposed to start teaching a line dance class here shortly. So the organizer and owner of the company, Heart and Soul Line Dance, shout out to Heart and Soul Line Dance, asked me to send them video of me teaching a class. And so I just did a video of me teaching my camera how to do line dance. And then I sent them a video of me actually doing the line dance with a group on Virgin Voyages, because I did teach the dance on the cruise ship on the line over. Right, I taught a couple of line dance classes on the way to Spain. And so I found those videos, and so I went to iMovie, put them together, made a little promo video of me teaching the dance and then showing the dance being done. So fingers crossed that goes through quickly, and then I'm starting to teach line dance class, because as soon as we get back to Spain, I'm going to start teaching line dance classes, and I'm going to teach Mahjong to folks who don't know it already, and I'm going to teach improv.
Question for you.
Yes, sir.
I think I know the answer and the impossibility of this with the improv, obviously, but would it make sense? Would it translate the teaching of Mahjong, if you video it, and obviously the teaching of the line dancing, to make that available for people to purchase and download? And I know the improv is just so
maybe the line dancing, Mahjong, possibly. I'd have to rework. You know what I have to do is I have to have, next time I teach somebody, I'll have Nilla or somebody film me teaching, and then I'll look at the video and see if it translates over video.
Yeah.
Because if so, then that's a great way to set that up. If people want to learn Mahjong, I'd be happy to teach you. I'm apparently a good teacher because people that I have taught other people. That's my claim to fame.
That's a pretty good litmus test there, I'd say.
Yeah.
And I mentioned this, and I have no idea if there's a market for other things like this, but I get random people from random places that I don't recognize. And I know some of this I know because of the currency that they're purchasing something with. So I'm kind of extrapolating that, if they're using a New Zealand currency, they're probably from New Zealand purchasing.
Good guess.
Purchasing the hypnosis videos. So I know they're not just people. Like, I promote it to people. I said, hey, if you're interested in seeing this and buying this, come see me afterwards. I'll give you the information on where to find it. So I tell people in the show, and I get people that come up to me and they want that information. So I give that to them. So I know that some people are buying it because they were at the show and they want to support it. But and then there's also people like, I'll give Lee Popsicle a shout out because he reached out to me and decided that he wanted to support that the Patreon that it's associated with. And I guess that no matter where you're from, when you're doing a Patreon, you must have a drop down to be able to select the currency you wish to support Patreon in.
That is possible.
No matter where you are.
No matter where you are.
So, and I'm sure that he won't care that I'm calling him out for this because it's not really negative, but Lee Popsicle is a supporter of my Between Two Minds behind the scenes Patreon in Swedish currency. Kroners, I believe is what it is. Because I guess that he heard, I don't know whether I was talking on here or the podcast that I do for Between Two Minds or whatever about, people from all over the place and the currencies coming in. So he shot me a message, says, hey, I'm going to test this out. I'm going to put it in a different currency. Tell me if it shows up in that currency on your end. And sure enough, it did. So that was kind of crazy. So if you want to mess with us and go to bullwiththebutthole.com and support the podcast at any of those wonderful tiers.
No, it's coming.
Okay. There we go. It's so weird now, everybody, because before, when we were just doing the audio early on, well before the Patreon even existed, I was the one who had access to the soundboard, but only me. Then there was a period of time, most of the time, I'd say probably episode 20 something through 80, where Big Sexy is the only one that had access to the soundboard. Now we both have access to the soundboard, to the little background stuff, all of this other stuff. So if we wanted to kind of not just, do that, but also show you this, those are all different things that we have on the back display. Where the hell was I going with that? Oh, if you want to mess with us and just pick some weird random ass currency for your Patreon, I'm sure we lose money on the translation of the currency, but we don't mind. To
say, oh, look, we got somebody's paying us in Deutschmark. Why are they using Deutschmark when they can use Euro? I don't know. But more power to them.
If you're really, really interested in feeling charitable and want to just drop some Bitcoin on us, you could do that too. The people that I know who are in the know about, who claim to be in the know about Bitcoin are telling me that sometime over the next week, it's going to do something called halving. You're looking at
half, or it's going to have something.
The word is half, like
right
to a portion. Basically, what happens? You're looking at me with the same blank stare as the words coming out of my mouth. So this is the real kick in the nuts right now, is that you and I might not even know each other. If I had listened to people back in 2014 that didn't make sense then, and my understanding 10 years later is about the same today as it was 10 years ago. But 10 years ago, when I had a bunch of people telling me, hey, you need to get into Bitcoin, the cost of a single Bitcoin was like $400.
Right.
The problem is that I didn't have $400 10 years ago. Like I was, studying whenever this was. It may have been 11 years ago, but it was some time ago. I was working on somebody's political campaign, making like $400 a week cash while studying for the bar exam.
Yeah, you weren't the high class.
I was not putting money into Bitcoin then. For anybody who's not following this, which is probably most of the smart people that are listening, Bitcoin is currently sitting at $70,000. So had I bought just one, I would have turned $400 into 70 grand, almost $71,000. So what happens is computers do computery things to mine this imaginary money.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying the words but they mean nothing to me when I say them. But I'm repeating words that I have heard that mean something to the computers.
Right.
And apparently every so often they mine a full Bitcoin. And whatever that so often is, when the halving happens, either the so often doubles or they only mine a half a Bitcoin in the same so often.
Got it.
So it's going, translation, the fake thing, the imaginary thing is going to become more rare, and traditional laws of supply and demand say it will become more valuable.
Interesting, because I actually have some Bitcoin.
As do I. I mean, I'm sitting here talking about how I don't understand it. True, but I have some.
Yeah, I was given the opportunity by several different banking, mobile banking and stuff like that, to like my Venmo. I have the Venmo credit card, and whatever interest they would normally give back, I say take that interest and buy Bitcoin with it.
Okay.
And put that in my digital wallet. And so again, if I don't have to look at it, if I don't have to worry about it, if I don't have to think about it, and it just does what it does behind the scenes, I'm all about that.
And that's really the take that I took with it. I bought some. I want to say that the average cost that I have for the Bitcoin that I have acquired is about $23,000.
Okay.
The average cost.
You're way above where I'm at. Right now, I'm looking at maybe
I don't have 23. I mean, I didn't spend $23,000. I don't have a single Bitcoin. I have like half a Bitcoin. So I guess I've probably my average cost, I've put about 13 grand into it. So that though today is $35,000.
Right.
And if what people are telling me actually happens, that might be worth 75 grand in 2 weeks. Who knows?
Right. And I put in about $6. And now it's up to like 25, 26,
which is tremendous. Like,
which is great. Percentage wise, I'm rolling with some.
That's all that matters.
Yeah, so maybe the halving it'll go up to maybe I have $65 by the time it's all said and done.
That'd be pretty kick ass.
Hallelujah. Great. I enjoy that. Do you do the stock market? Are you in? You play the stocks.
Not in a way that would be described by the phrase you just said. I've got an investment guy that does all that shit. Here's one of the things that I decided to do. I did, quote, play the stocks back in 2020. Everything in the stock market hit the skids as the lockdown hit. And fortunately for me, unlike the days in which somebody was trying to teach me, because I still don't think I understand it, about Bitcoin, in 2020, when everything hit the skids, I had zero debt and I had money. So I went through and said, what makes sense to buy? What companies are never going to go away? So I bought a bunch and did very, very well when all of that stuff inevitably bounced back by the end of the year. I mean, some of the stuff I got a 10 times return on. Like, it was ridiculous. So now what I've started to do is move some of that into, I basically did a breakdown. Most people do like a budget. This is what I spend on, the phone bill. This is what I spend on the electric bill. This is what I spend here, right? So I just did a breakdown of, where are those bills? Are those companies publicly traded? Do their stocks offer a quarterly dividend? If the answer to all those questions are yes, then I backtracked it and said, okay, my bill for AT&T is this much a month. How many shares do I have to have so that the dividend offsets the bill?
Okay.
And then I bought that. So now AT&T is paying my AT&T bill, kinda.
Right.
Because I'm not taking the dividends, I have it automatically set up to reinvest the dividends. So, because I'm never putting money in that I need right now. So I'm not looking to pull it out right away.
You got
None of
that
this
stuff
is-
they call extra money.
None of this is financial advice, by the way. I am not a certified financial planner.
Big Sexy Digital Nomad tells you to go buy AT&T stock.
I am a degenerate gambler. So I want to preface every and most people will tell you that I'm not a degenerate gambler. I call myself a degenerate gambler. But most people who really know, like,
you're a degenerate gambler.
I never, my whole philosophy on gambling, which also applies to playing the stocks or investing in the stock market, whichever mood that I'm in at the time, is all based on, I believe that money that you take into the casino is a cover charge. I don't care whether that is $100, $1,000, $10,000 or more. Do not walk through that door if you're not okay forking it over and not walking out the door with it.
Right.
So, for example,
if you plan to play, whatever you plan to play, be ready
to lose it.
I would say, look, you're going to spend it. The goal is to spend it. I'm not going to get it back. But get it back, great. That's just icing on a delicious cake. I'm going to have fun spending this money.
So, and again, if you want to do this safely, and I'm not suggesting that anybody do this safely, but the mentality needs to be as such, because this is the way that I factor it in. And it has my wife often asking me when I say, hey, I made this much money. She's like, did you actually make that much money? Or did you philosophically make that much money? Because if I walk through the door with $1,000 that I'm ready to spend, I've considered that to be a cover charge. If I walk out with $800, most people will do the math and say I lost $200. I say I won $800 because the first $1,000 was a cover charge. And if you cannot,
that's what you won.
If you cannot establish that mentality, don't do it. Just don't do it.
Right.
You know, and so I often have to.
I don't know if I've told I know I told you my pattern, my go-to, and this is sound advice. If you want to take this advice, I recommend doing this yourself. If you go to Vegas or wherever else there may be gambling, on a cruise ship, Atlantic City, Reno, Louisiana, wherever.
Perryville, Maryland, 10 minutes from my house.
San Bernardino, California, which provides such wonderful gifts when you remember they play.
Tunica, Mississippi. Are we just naming gambling halls now?
I mean, sometimes you got to run down the list. You know, Pachanga, Morongo. Anyhow.
Detroit, Michigan, like the Greek Town Hollywood Casino, where I'll be speaking and podcasting at the 2024 Michigan Hypnosis Conference.
Get your tickets. So here's my surefire way to have a great time and maybe walk out with some money. Walk in, as we've already said, with however much you plan on playing. That's a set amount. You're going to spend it. If I'm going to walk in and I'll use my own budget, I'm walking in, I got $50 that I got to spend on slot machines or whatever. Put my $50 in the machine, I play the machine, and I play it till either one of two things happens. Either it's gone, which is more than likely that's going to happen, it's gone, or I double it. The moment I double it, I cash out, I take that little ticket to a machine, I get that money in cash, I put half of that money in my wallet, and I take
so your original $50, basically.
I put whatever I cash out in. I put anything over my initial spending, so over the $50 goes in my pocket. I take that $50 and I find a machine. I put that $50 in the machine and I play until one of two things happens. I love that method. More times than not, I have walked out with money in my pocket because I cashed out once, maybe twice. And then the machines finally said, okay, give us that 50. They gave us the 50. I gave it to them. I go, oh, I'm done.
But that whole time after you did the first move, you're playing with house money.
House money. Yep. And what the cool thing is, once I've done that, I'm just playing my winnings. And not all my winnings. I'm only playing the amount that I said I was going to walk in with. Now my dear mother likes to gamble. She unfortunately is the type that gambles where she says she's going to cash out when she gets to a certain amount, but can't stop pushing that button. Yeah. If I'm ever hanging out with her at the casino, I have to back off. It's like I gotta get away from you because that's gonna drive me nuts. Because I'll see you. You'll say, okay, when I get down to 100, I'm gonna cash out. All right, here comes 105.
Because we always like to have it be like an even number. You know what I mean? You want to cash out a clean ticket. You want a clean ticket. Now, if I'm gambling and it goes over, it doubles it, but it get like so I start with 50, and then somehow I win $56. I don't play it down that last 50. No, I cash all that son of a bitch out. I put all $56 in my wallet and put that 50 back in there. And I think if you gamble that way, you get money more times than not. Now to pivot, speaking of gambling and Vegas and things that happen in Vegas, sorta, kinda, king of the segues over here. As you talked about in the opening, the juice has expired. Yeah. I got that. It's funny because you sent me the message being like, hey, any topics that we need to cover? And my response was OJ Simpson. And you were like, really? I'm like, well, he died today. And you're like, oh, well, that's how I found out, right? Yeah. Oh, all right. Well, calling me this minute old, how soon I found out about it. I didn't get, and of course, the moment you said OJ Simpson, I was like, really? And then I actually went to Google. Because you type in the word OJ, and then it tells you OJ death, OJ died. But okay. R.I.P. or something. You can make that P whatever you want it to mean. Need it to be, right. I know there's a lot of different. I hope all souls rest in peace, no matter how good or evil they were. I don't, whatever. I hope that finally brings peace to any victims, or people affected by his alleged discretions amongst folks. I hope that brings them a solace of redemption. You should have started with this because Sunnyside in the chat's learning for the first time here. News break. Big session. You heard it here first. Come for your news. In today's news, so then as we're talking, it begs the question, well, did he do it? Yes. But, people still ask if he did it. And I say he did it and got away with it. He published a book. It's probably been 20 years ago now. It's been a long time. He published a book, and so for anybody who's maybe at an age that none of this means anything to them, because this was like the early 90s. OJ Simpson was an NFL player. He was a Heisman Trophy winner in college. He was supposed to be like, the best player in the NFL draft. And I guess I'll bring all of this into it. So the way that it works in the NFL is that the team with the worst record gets the first draft pick in the next year's draft, and it backtracks from there. So the Super Bowl winner gets the last pick in the draft. The Super Bowl runner-up gets the next to the last, so on and so forth. Okay, and there was a game in Philadelphia that the Philadelphia Eagles were playing the season before the draft that OJ Simpson was going to be in. And it was on Christmas Day, I guess, and Santa Claus was out on the field, and the Eagles ended up winning this game and the fans were actually pissed that their team won the game because it meant that they weren't going to get to draft O.J. Simpson. And they started throwing snowballs and rocks and whatever else. I don't know how they got rocks into the stadium, but this is just what the story is.
But I think that's what the bleachers were built out of back then.
At Santa, it may be, yeah, at Santa Claus during this game. So anyway, fast forward to sometime in the 90s, there's this news report that O.J. Simpson's ex-wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, and her, I guess they were lovers, maybe they were dating. I was young enough that it was all fuzzy at the time to me as to who was who and what. But they were killed outside of her home.
They were
murdered,
gruesomely,
violent and brutally murdered. And somehow OJ became a top suspect. There was all this to do about this live police chase of him and his white Bronco and all this other stuff. Yeah. So it was a whole deal. Then there was a criminal trial. It was highly publicized, televised, the
most publicized criminal trials ever.
If you were a child of the 90s or even an adult of the 90s, you know who Judge Lance Ito is, Marcia Clark, the lead prosecutor, Johnny Cochran and his team defending all of these folks. You know who they are. He got the not guilty. All right. And we're not going to get into the particulars of that, but that was the criminal trial. That was the one that would have sent him to prison if he were found guilty.
Right.
The Goldman family.
You don't fit, you must acquit.
Exactly. So Nicole Brown Simpson's, co-decedent, Ron Goldman, his family decided to file a civil lawsuit, which is money damages. We're suing. The award is money. Sued O.J. Simpson for being responsible for the deaths, specifically for Ron Goldman's death. I don't know that lawsuit had anything to do with Nicole Brown Simpson. They would not have had standing to bring it. This is not a legal podcast. So they won that lawsuit. I don't know the particulars of it, but I guess it was for a lot of money. So he had to sell a bunch of shit. He sold his Heisman Trophy and a bunch of other memorabilia. And I think at some point in time, that was him not having the money that he once had to do with him publishing this book that was entitled If I Did It.
Confessions of the Killer.
But
that's sometimes 2007, September 3rd, 2007.
So if you go and you look at the cover of the book, you almost can't see, because of the color of it, the word if.
No, it's actually the word if is written inside the letter I. I did it. Yes, you cannot see it at all.
So if you were to
like
see this book on a bookshelf, just browsing by and not looking closely, the book is titled I Did It by O.J. Simpson. So I never read the book. I never cared. One thing I do remember having at the time was, and I don't know how I acquired this, but I had this like comic type book that was one of those yellow legal pads.
Okay.
And it was like all these doodles on the legal pad, and it was put out there. Obviously, it was a kind of a parody sort of thing, but it was basically sold and marketed as O.J. Simpson's legal pad. Shit that he's writing down and doodling during the trial to show to his attorneys and his legal team. Now, obviously, this is all horseshit. This didn't actually happen. OJ didn't write any of this stuff. It was a comedy thing at the time, a parody. But for whatever reason, and I can't tell you anything out of that pad at the time, but I thought that was the funniest thing in the world at the time.
Yeah. And we should also mention OJ got really famous on television for his airport commercial. Because he was known as a runner, so we did a running commercial through, I don't remember for which airline, but it got popular. And then he was in the Naked Gun series.
Yeah, and he's popped up all sorts of different places. Obviously, when you end up in a situation where you were famous and you were making a lot of money, at the time, and the world moved forward. And obviously in professions like, pro sports, the shelf life for most of those athletes is not very long. You get a career, you're working 20, 30, 40 years sometimes. You get a career as an NFL player, you're lucky to get 4.
Right. And your brain doesn't always end up intact.
Also true. So you end up seeing athletes after their retirement doing all sorts of shit to make money. Whether that be writing books or other crazy shit like that. Yeah. So, anyway, all that stuff happened. He got into some actual criminal trouble because he allegedly, and I don't know, I think he was convicted of this. So I might be able to say that he did go somewhere and robbed whoever had the Heisman Trophy that he had once sold or something like that. Again, I'm fuzzy on the details, so I'm not going to make any sort of solid claims there. That's a matter that's long since been litigated. So I know that he did spend some time in jail or prison. But yeah, I got an alert on my phone today that OJ passed away from cancer. I didn't know he had cancer.
Yeah, well, he's out of the news for a little bit until he came back, kind of resurfaced behind some Trump madness, and but he got to that point where it's like, okay, you're back in the news, but really, are you? I mean, go away, dude. Just at some point in time, stop. At some point in time, and I guess he stopped.
And this is just in. You are hearing it here first. I am getting a live update from Ford Motor Company. They have relaunched the Bronco. They did that about 3 or 4 years ago. But this just in, with the 2025 Broncos, you will now be able to buy them in the color white. Starting with the 2025 Bronco.
Starting with 2025. They got rid of the white Bronco after the controversy. You can only get it in beige, black, gray, metallic, green.
I've seen all sorts of wonky, wild colors, like bright orange ones, bright blue ones for the new Bronco.
Right. Speaking of trucks, have you seen the Tesla truck in the wild?
I have not seen one in the wild yet.
Somebody around here, I think, or nearby, somewhere where I travel, has one, because I've seen one or a few of them in the wild. I anticipate seeing them more frequently here in California than Elkton, Maryland, I suppose.
Yeah, for
California. Sure. But they are absolutely the ugliest truck. It's just a really ugly vehicle. It's just it looks like a vehicle made by Minecraft, and I'm like, that's not. I don't want that. Who wants that? I think people want it for the prestige of saying they have a Tesla truck.
Yeah, I have an electric vehicle and I absolutely love it. I have no idea what the cost of gas is at the pump. I have not purchased it. This June will be 3 years of me not buying gas because I've had an electric vehicle.
Yeah, I don't have I don't have a vehicle, so if I got one, I'll get a hybrid. I was having this conversation with my cousin recently. Shout out to Tony, and we had lunch with my uncle and my aunt and my cousin recently. We went to Mimi's Cafe in Moreno Valley, and we're talking about vehicles. And my cousin has a Mercedes SUV, the electric one. And they're talking about it, and I was asking about how, what's the mileage on it, how far can you get on the full charge, how long does it take to charge? It takes about a half hour, 45 minutes to get a full charge or whatever. And I thought, if I got anything, what makes the most sense to me is a hybrid. I want something that is really efficient, but if I'm driving out and about and suddenly I'm out of, electricity and I'm not near a charging station, it can kick over to fuel.
So the cool thing, I'll tell you, and I'm not trying to sell you an electric vehicle, and obviously in the digital nomad lifestyle, you're not going to be buying a vehicle for quite some time. But For anybody who's curious about it, I will say that there's definitely a mentality to which you have to get used to, monitoring the mileage, knowing where charging stations are. It's not super expensive to get one installed in your house if you've got the ability to do that. Obviously, if you're renting an apartment or something, then you're not going to be able to do that. But a lot of time, there's a lot of rebates for the install and the equipment. Like when I purchased mine, there was a promotion going on at the time where Volvo actually mailed me the charging station. I just had to pay for somebody to get it installed, but then the state had a rebate. So I submitted all that stuff and then they basically paid for it. So I got the charging station installed for free and everything. So, and then we're right now, we're in the process of having a big array of solar panels installed at the house, not on the roof, but out in the backyard. And the thing's a huge, like the support
on the
beam,
Bowers estate.
On the Bowers estate, as RJ Owens would call it. The support beams are up. The panels are coming in like 2 weeks or something like that. So we'll be at home almost completely off the grid, so to speak, by the time I go to Egypt, which is a month from today, at the time of recording. So we got to figure out. I know we've got some bank episodes in the can, but
yeah, I think I 1 or 2.
We'll have to figure out
a couple more.
Maybe we'll have to stack some extra episodes as well, just so that we don't. I mean, I'm only going to be gone one drop week, so it's not going to be that big of an issue. But I might be lagged as hell.
Yeah, you may need some recovery time when you.
Yeah, I may need a little recovery time coming back. But yeah, mid-May, we're not going to probably end up doing live episodes, or who knows? Maybe Big Sexy does a live interview around the time that we normally do them. Who knows?
It's possible. Yeah, I mean, that's highly possible. I'm really looking forward to. Again, I got these new mics. I'm really looking forward to. I got 2 of them, so I want to see how that works. You correct me if I'm wrong, but you are not going to Scoop Fest, correct? Oh, okay. No. The short answer is no.
Okay.
The long answer is I was, then I wasn't, then I might be able to, then that's not going to work. To no, I'm not going to go. To off. Okay, so I'm going to go to Vegas at this time. To man, I wish I was really going for Scoop Fest because now I could go. Now the timing works where I could go, but we already have another time set and booked.
Gotcha.
So the short answer is no. While I would love to be at Scoop Fest, I have the invitation to go to Scoop Fest. I talked to the guys about it. It just wasn't in the cards this year. And what I'm hoping for is that the next time Scoop Fest rolls around, one, of course, that we're all still alive and the world is not burning on fire. And 2, that we are in a place financially where it doesn't matter where I am, what I'm doing, I can take a plane out to Vegas and be there at Scoop Fest. And also the Big Sexy Digital Nomad is such a high, doing so well as a podcast that we're invited as podcast guests to participate in like the podcast trivia and things of that nature.
So it looks like the day that's going to be the conflict day for me is the 16th of May. I'm wondering if you could do a live stream, and because if you set this up now, because the time zones will match, I'm pretty sure that no.
So that's the update. That's the updated news. We leave Los Angeles May 15th.
Oh, okay.
At 9 p.m.
Oh, so you're going to be traveling and unable to do it as well.
Correct. So we definitely have
the
to
live slot at this live slot.
Correct.
Okay.
So we definitely have to, and we won't be getting to Malaga until like 11:30 p.m. on the 16th. With time zones and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. That record, we'll miss that recording entirely unless we record like that Tuesday. You know, beforehand or record afterwards. However, for that that episode, I mean, I may still live stream. I may do a little live stream from the airport, if possible, wherever I'm at. We'll have a 4-hour layover in Charles de Gaulle in France. And so I might see how well the internet connection is there and live stream from Charles de Gaulle. So, I mean, we'll see. You know, it'd be very, very interesting if we're able to do a live stream episode and I'm at the airport.
So I just chuckled because the way, for anybody who hasn't seen this, which would be all of you, we've got a whole big list of all the potential audio stuff. We have the normal stuff that we use at the top of this list, and then a bunch of the preloaded stuff that we haven't deleted yet. I was looking to find that drop, and then below it is all of the.
You saw the Billy's drops.
Cruisehabit.com, bitches.
Yeah, cruisehabit.com, bitches.
Yeah, a shout out to our sponsor, cruisehabit.com.
Cool thing, last night /BSDN.
Yeah, I loaded all these last night before coming in because I was inputting the ads post episode and I was inputting and whatever. But I figured we can always do a shout out to our sponsor and play their ad right here.
What kind of weirdo digital nomads from cruise ships? Well, when I'm not being hypnotized by Judgmentalist or serenaded with custom parodies by Big Sexy, I'm thinking about, talking about, and writing about cruising. Check out ship tours, cruise tips, and even join us on a group cruise by visiting cruisehabit.com/BSDN. Come talk ship with us. Again, that's cruisehabit.com/BSDN. Thanks for listening. Safe travels. Cruisehabit.com.
Okay, so sometimes, all right, you hear ads on radio, podcasts, or wherever, and maybe you scratch your head and you think, is this person just reading a line, or do they actually use the product? Okay. Right. And that's the host of the podcast or radio show or what have you. Like if you listen to Penn Sunday School, they used to do ads when they were with the other thing and Matt would talk about the coffee that would be shipped to his house and stuff like that. And I never asked him because who gives a shit? But sometimes, you at least would believe that maybe Matt is actually using the coffee and Penn is actually using the coffee. And I have no reason to believe that they're not. But how often is the advertiser actually listening to the show enough to know how to do an ad like that? Like, that's thumbs up. That's a great ad. I'm hearing it for the first time.
Because you haven't. Yeah, our listeners have heard it. If you listen to episode 81, was dropped yesterday, and then they're going to hear it in the upcoming bonus episode this weekend with my friend Estefania. They're going to hear those episodes, hear the ads drop, and I input it in episodes and whatever. The also cute thing that I don't think I have uploaded here is I have my godsons. I had their mother record them saying safe travels. And what I'll do is I'm loving this. So listeners, Judge, play the behind the scenes stuff.
There we go.
It's a little bit behind the scenes. So we're on StreamYard. We're using StreamYard, and I'm actually loving this format much better than the Zencastr we were on before, mainly for being able to upload so many different bits of music and sound drops and things like that. And we get to live stream from it, which is pretty awesome as well. So listeners, if you're liking this format, if you love us going live stream and you like the ability to see us, reach out, shoot us a message, let us know. Be sure to like and subscribe, all those things, so that we know that the engagement is going well and that you're appreciating this format. I'm very happy. So my friend Sunnyside, who is in the chat right now, is my friend from work, my old work at the complaints department way back in the day, and we became friends. And they let me know that they saw the last live episode. That's how I know that Instagram had a chat, and I didn't see the chat. I was completely missing the chat. And yeah. And so,
well, the other thing with the sausage, just so that you know, Big Sexy, looking over on the right, if you look all the way at the bottom where you might respond to a comment in StreamYard, see where that little circle that says all?
Yes.
Click it. And then when somebody like Sunnyside, if you want to respond in the chat, click into the format that matches what they did and say whatever you want to respond, right? And then it doesn't show up 3 times like it was before. Also, right now, if you go to the YouTube channel or the Facebook stream, there's a random hey there from Big Sexy not responding to anybody because the hello from Sunnyside was on Twitch.
Got it.
So we're schizophrenic and just talking to ourselves unless we select. Now, obviously, for the intro, like the hello, everyone, having that go to all the channels makes a lot of sense.
Right.
But when you're responding specifically to someone, line it up with whichever way they've delivered the message.
See, a little bit behind the scenes, you see me hearing me learn about this in real time.
Yeah, because this is the 3rd week that we've been using this software.
Yeah,
it's good stuff.
And
I love it.
I'm enjoying it, and I've also used it. I try to use it for one interview. Tried to use it for another. The person wasn't able to do it. The Taryn interview had to be over Zoom, but I'm really digging this. So we're gonna keep this up, guys. Enjoy it.
Yeah,
But if you want to support the podcast, to help us with things like this and finding good programs and being able to maintain the professional level of this program so we get all the fun things, be sure to go over to bullwiththebutthole.com and go there, join the Patreon. You can join for free, but if you want to support, you can join for as little as $1 a month. But any of the tiers will be highly welcome. We definitely appreciate the support. We'll read out your names. And since this is a regular episode, Judge Mentalist, do you have that list in front of you?
Oh, you know that I always have that list in front of me.
Oh, well, go ahead.
Except for that one time that I didn't. There was that time that I didn't.
There was that one time. So wait, hold on. Let's see something. Hold on a second. I'm trying to go.
You find a good bed for me to read them out for?
Yeah, I don't know if this is a good one, but we'll do this one for now.
All right, so the following people are really just getting down to the groove of this tune. That's Joshua Tarr, Sebastian Robbins, Lee Popsicle, who's paying us in US dollars on this platform, Michael McKenna, Chris Lowry. He's a travel planner with the new website being gowithlisa.com. I doubt anybody's going to give him trouble with that. Bree, Angel, Smitty Scoop, who hung out with Paul from ICS for the Eclipse, Margaret White, Billy from cruisehabit.com. Bitches, go to cruisehabit.com/BSDN for all the fun things. Rainbow Dreamcatcher, The Love Podcast, Joe Smith, Tess, Jen, Galen Diggs. This is yours. You know, the one that I can't say yet.
It's Astefix.
Astefix. Jesus. Who is exacerbated actually reading Jesus. That's not an exasperation. And Scoop Jesus. So thank you guys all for getting down to these great tunes that we are listening to. Maybe you're dancing along. I don't know.
No, that's a hard stop. I thought it would fade out.
So up at the top, see the volume bar for background music. the little like diamondy
There it
thing
is. Fade check
will
in,
fade it out.
check out. Right.
So then you click one, and while that is hit, when you click it out, it fades out.
I got to remember to hit that every single time because when it starts, it blanks it out. I got to remember that it blanks it out. Well, y'all, thanks again for tuning in and listening. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you want, don't worry, the recording of this will drop out. And yours truly has begun editing the episodes and doing the promos and trailers for these episodes. If you like that kind of stuff, let me know. Positive feedback keeps me going, motivates me, and really lets me know that my work is appreciated. So I appreciate y'all. And in the meantime,
safe travels.
Oh man, took too long. Oh, I was so much. I'm gonna edit this in. All this right here is gonna be out of the episode.
To look at a celebrity.
What are you trying to edit in?
Imagine the celebrity just, on the toilet taking a massive dump.
Yeah, I thought I had my godson saying safe travels, but that's okay. Instead, we take a massive dump. All right, y'all. Bye.